I am Halli Casser-Jayne, and welcome to the Halli Casser-Jayne Show, where along with my partner in politics, veteran White House correspondent, and Time and Newsweek alum Matthew Cooper, we slice and dice all things politics, and some days are lawmakers too. Before we get started, the Halli Casser-Jayne Show podcast is always available at hallicasserjayne.com and wherever you most like to listen to your podcasts. And be sure to follow me on Twitter at Halli Show Quotes. Now, on this week's episode of the Halli Casser-Jayne Show podcast, Trump likes Hitler? What? Trump is back, as they say, with a vengeance. Did he ever go away? And that's just where we begin. Let's get started. It's Halli and Matt time. Here we go. I have a frog in my throat, Mac. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Well, we're getting a lot of rain here. It's a good thing because we didn't have any for so long. Yeah.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, my banana trees.
But you're getting that
over.
tropical.
No, we didn't get it.
Tropical depression.
No, we didn't get it.
That's not it.
So that we got it circles around. So we got a lot of the wind, but it didn't hit here. Just if you're on the east side of it, we got some wind, and I have this huge banana tree, and half of it went ta-ta in a bad surge. So what are you going to do? Other than that, life is grand, and except for this. So Matt, I've been opening the show with COVID.
Right.
COVID sort of went away. COVID is very much back, and we need to talk about that. The cases are up hugely. I don't think the media is keeping up with this story because I think it's really very bad, and nobody quite knows how to navigate it because the Republicans have taken control of the story in that, don't get vaccinated, and, this is government getting into your, what's, yada, yada, yada. And everybody went with this, except the Delta variant is just virulent. Who is concerned about the one coming out of Peru? There are areas in the country where the vaccination rates literally have just stopped. In Maryland, did you know that every case of death reported from COVID were the unvaccinated? So here's the deal. So Health and Human Services Secretary Xavier Becerra, love that name.
Yes.
He's sending out people door to door to try and get the reluctant vaccinated. And this morning he finally said something that I think should have been said a long time ago, and that is that vaccinations are government business. It is. They have always been. You can't get into public school without a vaccination for smallpox. What are we doing here? Talk to me. What are your feelings on this?
Well, look, I think people should get vaccinated, as you've rightly been encouraging your listeners to do, although I think smart people that they're probably pretty well jabbed already. I think Republicans have not quite, as you said, been telling people not to get the vaccine, but they've certainly not been encouraging it in the way they should. And look, I think vaccine restrictions on people who are unvaccinated, is something that's going to have to get worked out. I'm fine with it. I mean, I'm okay with vaccine passports and requiring people to get them in order to do different things. I don't see that as a problem, but politically that's not really happening. So we're kind of stuck at the moment until more people get vaccinated. I think the really good news here, though, is that if you do get vaccinated, you're in good shape.
Well, no, not necessarily, because they're finding out right now that people who have been vaccinated, I think you actually posted something about this, didn't you, this week?
Yeah, there were some issues coming out of Israel and elsewhere.
And I've heard stories down here.
Anecdotal reports. Yeah, I just retweeted someone. There was an anecdotal report of someone who'd been vaccinated, as had others in their family, and yet they seemed to come down with what seemed like a relatively mild case of COVID, which they got through.
Okay, but I can tell you, I have anecdotal stories about this too here in Florida.
Well, look,
so there's more of this maybe than we know.
Okay, well, if the vaccine doesn't work, then we have bigger problems than
Okay, so
the
let me put this one
unvaccinated.
out to you, okay? Let me throw this out. If people don't get vaccinated, the chances of the variants becoming more virulent and morphing go up exponentially. That's science.
No question. No question.
So they are hurting those who have been vaccinated. So when we talk about rights here, whose rights? Is it fair to the people who have done the vaccinations, for those who aren't, to put us in further peril? Because everybody has rights, and we've been going along with the rights that those who are the unvaccinated don't have rights, but those who are vaccinated do, or don't. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes, you got it.
Yeah, I got it.
We need to just this is an issue, and I just don't think that, you and I talk politics. I don't think that the Biden administration is playing that card well.
And what would you like them to do?
I think at this time, I don't think they have a great loss in saying they're not going to get Republicans to vote for them anyway. Therefore, they should mandate it. Their base would be thrilled, thrilled.
Yeah, I don't know if they legally require everyone to get vaccinated.
Well, I can tell you, I do believe states do have that right. I know that because I'm a case of a kid who couldn't have a smallpox vaccination. I don't know if I ever told the story on air for various reasons, and was one of the only person ever allowed in New Jersey school system without a smallpox vaccination. But,
well, I think they can ban you from public schools, right? But if they can't, but if you choose to go to private schools, I don't think they can.
Well, then when I went to private school, that's when I had to get vaccinated, believe it or not. When I was
right. Well, but that's because of the school, not the state.
I don't know. I just think that they need to look at this, and I think that they need to take ownership of the argument. This is a theme we're going to be discussing today, by the way. I just think they're letting the right run the argument, control the argument. Are you there?
Yeah. Well, I get where you're coming from on that, but as you say, I think their tools are somewhat limited here.
So, for the record, the world's known coronavirus death toll surpassed 4 million as countries struggle with their spread of variants unequal. It took 9 months for the virus to claim 1 million lives, and the pace has quickened since then. The second million was lost in 3.5 months.
Yeah.
Yes. Colorado, Delta variant surging, doing nothing. And this just in, the Olympics will be held without spectators.
Yeah, sounds fun.
I mean, okay. So, I mean, I don't want to belabor the point, but I have to. What about mask mandates? California has just reinstituted its for government workers. Do you wear your mask when you go into buildings?
It depends. I mean, the ones I often do, but if nobody else is, I take them off. I mean, there are places here that are, the mask requirements have been dropped here, but there are places, individual businesses that, kind of still encourage it. So I've left it on at the grocery store where there's probably,
I
the
do.
least,
I do.
the least concerned with actually getting it. So, but, I didn't wear it yesterday in a restaurant. So, I'm following the guidelines here. There are no mask requirements here at the moment.
Right. Well, I'm if I'm interior in a public place, I wear it, and if I'm in, outside, like at a garden center, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean,
that seems like a good rule.
I mean, that's it.
That seems like good personal policy.
Yeah. If you go to a restaurant, you're going to take it off to eat anyway. So I always thought that was stupid. And
you're down there in Florida. Does anyone ever you don't get these people coming up to you saying, "Why are you wearing a mask?"
No, but you do get looks.
Like, what are you, crazy? Or like, how dare you, liberal cuck?
Yeah, something like that. You do, of course you do. But you don't know if they're not wearing masks, whether they're vaccinated or unvaccinated at this point, so it's pretty crazy.
I'm in a pretty high compliance area, so and it's not even compliance anymore because
there's no rule.
The rule's been dropped, but I see people, really young people walking down the street with a lot of distance wearing a mask.
Well, that's good news because they're the ones a lot of the ones who are getting it because they're the unvaccinated.
Yeah.
But, my
Maybe
theory
they're
on this is, I argue with people about this all day long on Twitter and Facebook, but I'll say this to you. Look, most of the people who are unvaccinated are Republicans, and if they want to kill themselves, there are less voters. That's their choice. It doesn't work well for the Republicans. You're losing Republicans. You're not losing Democrats who are going out and getting vaccinated. Get my point?
I get your point, yes.
It's a bad point. It's nasty, but it's reality. So, be careful what you wish for, Republicans. Okay, honey, Trump is back. He is, isn't he?
Yeah. Did he ever leave? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I thought he left, but he's back.
Right. Well, he's suing the social media companies for kicking him off. Because he loves to litigate. He's our most, litigious president, ex-president. He loves to litigate, even if he knows he's not going to win. He loves to litigate
and make money off of litigation.
Make money off of litigation, make himself relevant, intimidate, whatever. For him, lawsuits are not just about winning; they're just about the act of lawsuits.
Well, they're also diversionary.
And they're diversionary.
And they're PR. So let's discuss that because I just don't. Again, I'm back to what the press doesn't know how to cover this crazy. So he holds his press conference yesterday, which was completely and utterly bogus bull fucking you know what. And it was weird. I only saw a minute or two of it. But what I saw, who were the people standing behind him? They were just weird. I mean, did you see that?
Yeah, it was odd. It was odd staging.
Oh God.
But what's the press doing wrong? What's your beef with the press?
I've got a lot of beefs with the press this week, but I think the beef is the numbers are down on cable. Everybody from Fox all the way, to MSNBC. And, without Trump, they got nothing to talk about or nothing for people to really want to listen to. And I personally think that most people right now are so exhausted from all of this that they're really tuning out. And it's summer, and it's like after the pandemic or, post-pandemic. But I just don't think, even on the indictment, which was so strange, did it not strike you that there was less coverage of an actual indictment than there was of this craziness with his press conferences or his going to Sarasota?
Yeah. Well, there's no question. He's, he tries to create diversions.
So, but
I think the indictment got enormous coverage.
See, I don't.
Well, it was a banner across the top of the New York Times.
Yeah, for one day.
It was the most. Well, you can't put a banner across the top the second day when nothing's changed. I mean,
no. But you can discuss it and discuss it and discuss it and discuss it and discuss it ad nauseum like they do everything else about him. But they didn't done that. That's my point. My point is, I was looking at that coverage and I was writing down who was talking about it, who wasn't. There was a lot of no talking about it. It was like a 1 or 2 day story, and then all of this other crazy became the story because that's what sells. That's what sells. Let's be real.
Well, I think Trump sells, whether it's the indictment or the going to Sarasota. I mean, it's just Trump does pretty well in terms of generating traffic. But I don't think the press is downplaying the indictment. I just don't.
You don't agree with me on that.
The indictment didn't get attention.
That's fair. But I do. So we'll agree to disagree on that. But on the other hand, they are willing to fall for all his crapola and play all the crapola. Even all of the legal pundits were talking about the lawsuit yesterday and just how really egregious this is for him to do this kind of stuff and get away with it, because the court doesn't need this to bottleneck more stuff. Alan Dershowitz, of course, came out in his behalf, and everybody then went after Alan Dershowitz. So that gets too much. It becomes gossipy. Is that fair to say? Is that the right way to put it?
Well, I don't know. I think the lawsuit while unlikely to go anywhere, it does get at an issue that's of interest beyond Trump, which is the degree to which these platforms regulate speech. And that's something that, lots of people have had thoughts on and groups have weighed in on, apart from Trump.
But that's not
permitted, and what should they be permitted to say? I know, but I'm trying to explain why there's interest in that story, and it's not just a docile press falling for whatever Trump tells them. I think it's a story of genuine interest.
So you heard that discussion yesterday? Because I did not. I heard about Trump and how crazy Trump is and how he uses PR and Trump, a phony lawsuit that's going nowhere. I did not hear a discussion about free speech. So,
well, I don't know. I saw it in the stories I read in the Journal and the Times. But I mean, if you're talking Twitter, it's probably different.
Well, not just Twitter. Whatever. But it is a conversation to where they're private companies. Period.
Well, right,
End of conversation. And until they're given a different status or something, that's the bottom line. They can do what the hell they want to do. Welcome to America. That's it. Speaking of Trump, so what's the story about Hitler did a lot of good, he said?
Yes. I mean, I shouldn't laugh. Well, yes, apparently, I guess Kelly and his allies leaked this to Michael Bender, the Wall Street Journal reporter, who has a new book out about Trump, that Trump, they were on their way to Europe and, for various meetings, and I forget what year, and Trump was saying, well, Hitler, he did a lot of good things. So he was like, you can't say that ever again. And even if he did, the genocide kind of trumps it.
He loves Hitler. It was reported before he even was elected, I think, that he had kept a copy of Mein Kampf by his bed. I have to say, Hitler did write 2 pages of the most amazing, PR formula ever, and nobody mastered it better than he, unfortunately. And we know that Trump has this weird alliance or respect for crazy people, for whatever the reason is. John Kelly needs to come forward on this.
Well, there have been lots of things Kelly has said that, remember Kelly was the sort, or seemed almost certainly to be the source of, like, Trump standing there at, Arlington or wherever and saying, like, they're all suckers and losers, Arlington Cemetery. Kelly's trying to play it both ways, it seems, to, burnish his own reputation. Which his Barr is doing, and but also never really coming out against the president, and certainly not doing any of it in real time when it might have made a difference.
Yeah, fine specimen of America.
Kelly is not one of the Trumpites who have distinguished themselves over the past 5 years.
Like I said, fine specimen of America.
Yeah, exactly. You're totally right.
It's just who knew there were so many of those out there. So Trump now comes back with, and I think, let me do this first. Before I get to there, let me stay for a second on, bring up the fact that Giuliani now had his license suspended in D.C. as well. Everything Trump touches dies. You got any comments on that? Because this is a theme.
Everything, yeah.
I mean, meaning Giuliani, they're going after him everywhere. And I'm fascinated by that fact that they're doing that.
Yeah, totally. Well, look, he's, Giuliani's just, it's a mess. And it's, I think one thing that's interesting here is how little the bar associations have done. I mean, all this is coming out of the courts, taking Giuliani's license away. But the Bar Association, which is supposed to self-police, has been nowhere during the last 5 years on these people.
So what do you think that is?
I don't know. I can't really explain it. I don't think it's because they're right wingers, but they've just kind of abandoned their
responsibility.
Responsibility. Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I mean, why do you say they're not right wingers?
The Bar Association?
Yeah.
Because they're always been sort of more anti-conservative on some of the judicial nominations and things like that.
Infiltration.
Oh, you think it's all sort of Trumpification?
I just think that one of the things that probably need to be looked at and discussed further, frankly, is this infiltration, which is what I'm going to get to in a minute. That I think there's far more of this right-wing stuff in places that we didn't realize that it was until it became an issue. And
right.
And I think this is one of those places, the law, certainly, we know from, the Supreme Court, and this long-term effort, to move all of this to the right. So I think there's something there that you're not seeing.
Well, you could. Maybe you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I'd like to see somebody do an in-depth piece on what's going on with the Bar Association.
Yeah, because it just seems like
amazing.
They're ignoring
silence.
all these things.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been no real disbarment push from them during all this. I mean, it took this judge with Giuliani to just say, like, you're unfit to have a law license for now.
God. What was his response?
Later, but
did he ever respond?
Giuliani response?
Yeah, I didn't see the response.
I think the response was that it was an unjust extension of judicial power, and that he had not disobeyed any of the dictums of the canon of ethics, that he was arguing on behalf of his client, and he was not manufacturing evidence, and that this was, unfair. And, the judge did say they would have to revisit this. It wasn't a permanent revocation of his license, but it was a serious and temporary one. I think Rudy's just, trying to pretend, hey, nothing to see here, folks.
I wonder what happens to him. Seriously.
Yeah.
There are a couple of things that are coming together that I want to talk about, so it's a little confusing. Because there's the 1/6 Commission we need to talk about. But there's also...
Yes.
Yeah, there's also this... going back to the indictment of his CFO and the company, Trump's company.
Yes.
Two things I want to talk about. One is, it looks like Ivanka Trump is in the crosshairs here. And I'm curious as to whether you picked up on any of that.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. I mean, she had involvement in all these companies, and no reason to think she wouldn't be. Right?
More than the brothers. That's.
Yeah, I guess I was a little surprised by the extent of it. But, it's so opaque who runs what and who controls what with these, this tangle of finances. But, yeah, let's just assume anyone in this orbit is going to have legal troubles, right? Jared, Ivanka.
Yeah, I just think that there's something different going on here between the boys and Ivanka / Jared. And it may account for Ivanka and Jared's pulling away from Trump, from Daddy, more than the boys. Yeah.
Well, I think there's a lot to be said for that. It's just so hard to know from where we sit who's done what. But I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. I think.
Yeah, and then the other part about it is I'm curious as to how this sits. Does this just sit on Alan Weisselberg for a while, or are they going to make more moves sooner rather than later?
Yeah.
Because there's the legality of it, Matt, but there's also the politics of it. And they got to play the politics of it right. And if they don't move on something soon, I think they're going to lose some of the argument. But what can you say? There's a lot of talk about whether or not Ivanka's going to sell out Daddy. Speculation, fun, parlor game. I can't imagine. But she has no life if she doesn't in the future.
If she doesn't dime out her father.
Yeah. It's over.
I don't see.
Yeah.
I don't see the kids diming out. I mean, assuming they have things that a prosecutor wants, and the prosecutor's going to try to extract from them. I don't know. You really think they'll flip on Dad?
I don't think they.
You think she?
I think she is a potential for possibly saving her and her husband's butts. Finagling it, to finagle it. It may not be an outright, I'm going to get Daddy, but it may be a way for her to finagle to save her butt and her husband's butt and her children's.
I think she would have to be on the verge of a conviction for that to be plausible. And right now,
well, we don't know. We don't know what they've got. We know there's no indictment.
Well, we know there's no indictment.
No, but we do know that she's in trouble on the inauguration. That's been out there from day one. They were laundering money through that. Well, we'll wait to see. But
yeah,
worth a mention. Matt and I said it first.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, it's keep your eyes on this, folks. That's what we're saying. All right, let's talk about the 1/6 commission, because I think this is another place where Democrats are losing the PR.
Right. Well, you said this last week, and
did you think about what I said? Did you think?
I always think about what you say, Halli. You don't have to follow up on that. I always think about what you say. Yeah, no, look, I mean, I think they did the smart thing putting Liz Cheney on their picks, and I think they're smart to go ahead with this, and I think they can keep pounding it. I think every time there's new video evidence of what happened on 1/6 or new arrests, they should make a big deal out of it. And when, McCarthy eventually names his members to this thing, they should go bonkers, because I'm sure he's going to put,
the wackos.
At least a few wackos and maybe one, semi-normal person. And, they shouldn't let up on it.
So so this is why I wanted to discuss this in this context, kiddo. Ashley Babbitt, Donald Trump.
Yes.
Making the girl a martyr.
Totally. Yeah.
And let me pair that with Adam Kissinger. I can't say his name. Kinzinger. How's that?
Right.
Did I get it right?
Yeah, you absolutely did.
Man,
Kinzinger.
He said that Trump's claims of widespread election fraud. Let me get my glasses on, because I want to read what he said. I want to be specific right on this. Okay, here we go. He suspects that some of the Republican colleagues could have predicted the Capitol riot and even supported it. And that was a nice way of saying he already knows that some Republicans were involved in this. We all know that, probably to some degree. But again, let's go back to Hitler and PR and Trump and making Ashley Babbitt a martyr. And this is why I say to you, I'm not sure the Democrats get what their argument, get how formidable this whole thing is, and how Trump is already playing it. Your thoughts?
Right. Well, I don't disagree that there is a martyrizing of Ashley Babbitt going on, the woman who was shot during the course of the Capitol attack, and I think they're trying to use. It's not even an issue. They're using her to try to gain more craziness and more support for viewing the attack as an innocent protest that went terribly awry because of I don't know what, the liberals. I don't know. And it's a pretty awful, use of someone who, by, all accounts, seems to have been, deeply misguided, as well as, breaking the law and trying to break into the House cloakroom. So, it's pretty low. It's pretty awful. I do think it's the kind of thing that a lot of Fox viewers are going to glom onto, and. I think in the long run, though, the Democrats standing with the cops instead of Ashley Babbitt is going to be better for them.
Yeah, I find this all very frightening, because this really is probably the worst thing that's happened since 1812, And I just don't, I know I'm hard on the Democrats, but and we're going to discuss this in a minute too, because something came up this week that I think we need in the realm of this conversation. They just don't get the PR game. They need to hire a Republican PR company, the Democrats, because the Democratic ones don't ever win the argument for them. So I know in the long term you think that's fine, but I think in the short term, not so much. So let me take it to this then. Let me finish on Trump on just one more thing, and that is somebody spoke to me in terms of getting Trump in this indictment, and that what Trump is going to do is there's a national security issue involved, and so therefore he can't be, prosecuted or asked to testify, etc., because his company is somehow, there's a national security issue. Have you heard this conversation, and what do you think?
I'm sorry, this is the indictment of Weisselberg?
This is the
Trump organization?
Yeah. And
that will somehow, Trump will not be compelled to testify in that case?
Right, because he might exposing national security issues. And my answer to that was, what a bunch of crap, because after all, if his companies were involved in any way with, companies and countries that shouldn't have been, or a national security risk, right there he's in trouble. That's a whole other conversation.
Right. Well, it certainly seems likely that he would, obviously, try to avoid testifying and use every argument he could. And I'm sure they would invoke national security. I just don't know what a judge is going to, whether a judge is going to, accept that and exempt him from testifying. I mean, this is all related to his business, and it doesn't have anything to do with national security. So I'm not sure that's going to carry much weight with the federal judge. With the New York State judges who are involved here.
So as I was saying, I think that's an issue. To keep your eye on that.
Totally, yeah.
Totally keep your eye on that.
Sure.
Yeah. What are Republicans up to? Quote, 18 more months of chaos and inability to get stuff done, says Representative Chip Roy, caught in a video. Not that that's a surprise.
Yeah. Oi, oi, oi.
So I bring that up because of this. Michael Steele, the former RNC chair, I don't know where he is these days, whether he's left the Republican Party, he's a, closet Republican, he's God knows what. But he did say something that I thought was so interesting. And this is what I said, there's a theme here on the Democrats again. The Dems are, his question to them was, what are you going to do with this majority that you have? Anything? You going to use it? Because so far you haven't. What the hell are you waiting for? Michael Steele says. And Michael Steele is right.
Well.
Yeah? Talk to me.
Look, I don't think I'm telling you anything you don't know. They have a 50-50 tie in the Senate broken by the vice president. They can't spare a single vote. They can only be as liberal as Joe Manchin wants to be. That's the truth. So they've been able to pass an enormous COVID relief bill, move a lot of judges, do a lot of other things, but there are some things they cannot do until they can hold the Democrats together and avoid a filibuster. And they cannot do that for infrastructure yet, and they can't do it for a lot of things. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. So okay. I know that's what Michael Steele said, but
the reason I bring it up is this, because at some point you have to say to yourself, were they elected to enact bipartisanship or laws?
Well, I would say the latter, of course, but they gotta either get rid of the filibuster or get the votes, and they gotta hold 50. And right now, you don't even have 50 on the voting rights and other things. So, in a different system of government, this would not be an issue, but in the one we actually have, it's a problem.
So let me say this: how about not a different government? How about a different leadership? So I'm going to pound Joe Biden here a little bit, because his job.
Pound away.
Huh?
Yeah, pound.
I'm pounding because I'm saying to myself, yourself. You can only go so far on this tolerance and trying to work this out. And then you have to say, wait a minute. We have done and exhausted every opportunity to make this work in a bipartisan manner, and it isn't. So, Mr. Manchin, we gave you your rope. You're hung. Stop it. Because Manchin's not leaving the Democratic Party. He's not. It doesn't serve him to leave. It doesn't serve him to leave. So I just think Joe Biden needs to get a little tougher. That's what I think.
But what does that mean?
Come on, this is politics, and these guys know how to play politics, and they know how to bring a hammer down. I mean, Biden didn't get to be president of the United States because he's a...
But I think this is like saying, why didn't Obama pass the public option? Like, why didn't he? He just should have...
Well, I don't think Obama is...
He yelled louder.
Well, you're going to laugh, but forgive me for saying this, but Obama was never Joe Biden.
Yeah, well, here's my point.
Okay.
It's fine to say that. Joe Biden should just go do this.
No, you're saying something different than what I'm saying.
You're saying that he's not being politically tough enough, and that if he were tougher, he could get Manchin to do what he wants and pass everything he wants to pass.
Not everything, but I think on some things you have to say enough is enough is enough, and maybe there's a deal to be made here. We won't get this, but we will get this, but we're going to get something. I just think that I'm tired of hearing bipartisan, because nobody is elected to be bipartisan. They're elected to be functional and to get something done for the American people.
Well, I agree, but I think until the bipartisan thing plays itself out, you're not going to get
that's what I'm saying.
Manchin to move. I don't think he's going to move because Joe Biden yells at him.
Not yell. Come on, this is sophisticated. Listen, if I were a politician, if I knew how they manipulate each other, and that's what happens, I'd be a politician. I can't manipulate my dog to do what I want him to do. So,
okay, but if you're
don't look at me.
Biden,
you don't think I'm right at all that Biden has been a little bit too easygoing on all of this?
I think he's waiting for it to play out with the hope that Manchin either he gets something bipartisan, or Manchin eventually becomes, his eyes are awakened to the
And Michael Steele's position on it is you don't have a lot of time here.
Well, I agree. I agree with that part. I don't think Joe Biden is weak or naive. I think he...
No, I don't think he's naive.
I don't think he has the leverage with Manchin. I don't think he has a secret way to make Manchin vote with Bernie Sanders and Chuck Schumer that he's not using, and that he's just kind of like, doesn't really care that much about, and he's not using it. Joe Manchin is a totally Biden has no leverage to hurt Manchin with in West Virginia.
I don't know if that's true or not.
I think he's probably got more leverage. He's got more leverage with Sinema. I'm surprised they didn't use that. But
well, they figure she's going to come around if they can get Manchin to come around. But it's interesting that the governor of West Virginia, who's a Republican, is acting more like the Democrat in that state than Joe Manchin is. I mean, he's just hammering the hell out of that state for not doing the vaccination thing. I mean, he's just absolutely at his wit's end about it. And he's been vociferous in all of his anger against the Republican Party for ginning all this crap up so that people aren't getting vaccinated. So, it's interesting when the Republican governor is more in line with Biden than the Democratic senator from that state. Okay. I know we go on and on about this week, but I do feel like this is going to come back and hurt Biden if he doesn't get something done pretty quickly.
Well, I agree. He's got to, he needs to pass more legislation, and where he's going to have a weaker hand going into 2022. I don't think he's got. I don't think he can right now.
Okay, so it's a wait and see game according to you, and I'm saying he doesn't have a lot of time to continue to wait and see. I'm not sure what. I mean, where do you draw the line? You draw the line.
He has no line to draw. He has no way of forcing this to happen. It is not a monarchy. He cannot make this happen.
No. But it's not a question of monarchy. There's always a deal to be made. If bipartisanship is truly what the people say it is, you can apply that to within the party system too. There's always a deal. You just have to find the deal.
You have to.
It's like a divorce. It's like a divorce when you go in, right, with your lawyers. You think there's no way the two sides can be met. But somewhere along the line, there is always the possibility that you can divide things evenly.
Look, I believe Manchin has voted once for reconciliation on a Democrats-only vote. I believe at the end of the day he will probably do that after after
it's exhausted.
A long summer of negotiation on this stuff.
Okay, that's what my question. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's fair to say.
I do not believe Biden has the leverage to compel Manchin to do a Democrats-only vote.
Well, I don't think compel is the word that I was looking for. I
don't think he has the tools to persuade him.
But you will draw the line after the summer by.
It's not a question of.
Well, I'm just saying. At that point, Biden.
It's a question of what Manchin wants to do. It's not a question of what Biden wants to do.
How long are you going to tolerate this crap out of Manchin?
I don't think he has any choice but to tolerate this crap out of Manchin.
Not him.
I don't think it's the president's hand here. It's Manchin's hand, and Manchin.
Well, that's pretty sad, isn't it?
Well, this is the danger of a 50-50 Senate and our system. Everyone's a kingmaker, and I think we're lucky it's only one guy who's sort of holding everyone hostage. It could be, it could be Ed Markey on climate, or it could be any one of them.
All right,
we're lucky it's just one.
We're going to beat this one up against. I have a different position, obviously, than you do, and I'm just simply saying that I'm not alone in this because Biden's poll numbers are starting to show. The Democrat
you
base.
get no argument from me that he needs to pass more stuff.
He needs to do something because he's not doing enough right now. Okay, I want to go on to Jim Langford in Oklahoma, a conservative who was headed on the chopping block for not sticking with the Trump lie. And let me add to that it looks like Lisa Murkowski is hurting also. Poll just came out with her, and people who thought that she was, safe from the crazy, she's not so safe from the crazy. So, just need to put this in perspective here. This is not okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, she lost her primary last time. She won as an independent, so, it's not the first time.
26% hold a favorable opinion of her. So the radicals are gaining steam in the Republican Party. And yes. With this voter suppression and voter rights, which some people say hurts them in Georgia and Arizona, I say you're opening up the field for even more crazies to get in, which was why things need to move in a different way, and Democrats need to get a better handle on what's going on here in all of this, or else this country won't survive the next election. It will be so radicalized. Marjorie Taylor Greene back in the news because, again, she invoked the Holocaust?
She's a lovely lady. Yes. Well, right. This time she used the phrase brown. After doing this big,
right?
Amends, or what she went to the Holocaust Museum.
Yeah.
Yeah, then she's like, I've seen the light, and now she's just sort of tossing around.
I just would like to point out something that I said when she did her little Mea culpa a couple of weeks ago. I said she was put up to this because they want to go after the wacko Dems, who are anti-Semitic. I won't name names right now, but that this was just crapola. They never got the opportunity to go after the Dems, and so she opened up her mouth again. And this is an ongoing thing, and I'm not just sure why she's not expelled from Congress, honest to God. I think she's lunatic.
Yeah, well, she lost her committee assignments.
Doesn't matter.
After the first round,
right.
But only with Democratic votes. The Republicans will move on it. So, boy, look, she's bad news.
She is bad news. J.D. Vance. I don't know if this is worth taking time to talk about, because I don't know how many people really know, other than in Ohio, who J.D. Vance was, even though he had a best-selling book.
Yeah, a movie bestseller. I don't know.
What do you think?
Well known, I think. What do I think of him? His transformation from Trump critic to Trump sycophant. It's obviously it's hardly unique in the party. People who criticized Trump in 2016 are now slobbering all over him. In the case of Vance, is this really worth it? I mean, you've got a kind of great life as this, huge best-selling author, and kind of your brand is like I tell hard truths to people, whether it's, people I grew up with or whatever, in West Virginia. And now he's just gone full MAGA. I mean, it would be like if John Meacham suddenly decided to run as a socialist in New Jersey. It doesn't seem like a great career move. I just don't think he's going to win anyway. I don't think he's MAGA enough to get through the primary.
I just don't understand the thinking. Why would you go and take that unbelievable goodwill he had?
Yeah, I agree. Why do that so you can be a freshman on the Commerce Committee?
It seems to me, like I said, that because there's something so irrational in all of this, Matt. And this isn't a perfect example of the irrationality of these people and the kind of thinking that's going on in their heads. I did a little exercise for myself a couple of days ago. It's not that I haven't done it to some degree before, but I really tried desperately to put myself into the head of these pro-Trump folks. And I could not twist myself in any way, shape, or form into rationalizing the kind of thinking that is going on in these people's heads. To do so would have required me to throw out every religious, moral, ethical teaching I had ever been exposed to in my life.
Right.
How do you do that? I mean, I've done some screwy things in my life, who hasn't, and bad things and wrong things. But,
not you. Never.
But you always come back to, some kind of a foundation. I can't wrap myself around people like Vance, or around these Marjorie Taylor Greens, or any of these lunatics that are out there. The guys in the Senate. Have you ever tried to take your little brain and go there?
What, to think like a pro-Trump supporter?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I can get to the sort of conservative Republicans who are like, I don't like them, but I like the judges and the taxes.
I can't get
There's
there.
those types.
I can't get there. I wish I could get there.
Sure, he's corrupt, but so's everybody. And,
every moral teaching they ever gone with the wind, and, and they who espoused, to be the great Christians of the world. I could say something so, oh my God, it would probably get us thousands and thousands of bags of email here about Christianity, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to hint.
Okay, well, yeah, I don't know what you're thinking.
Yeah, I'm not going to go
sure
there.
I want to know, but
so all I'm saying is it's so irrational. You could see both sides in the revolution, if you will. You could see both sides. This I can't see both sides. I just can't. The people who aren't even being served by their following Trump, that's where it's irrational. I don't know. Just thought I'd throw it out there for whatever the reason is.
Yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And look, it's, again, you got the people like J.D. Vance who know better. I mean, he was a Trump critic, and then he just decided not to be.
Well, self-serving. There's a lot of that going on.
Yeah. I would just say in his case, I get it if you're if you're a totally avaricious state senator from Ohio, yeah, go for it, right? Just pretend to be MAGA so you can win your primary. But if you're J.D. Vance, you're already bigger than that. I don't know why you would.
He doesn't have another book in him? He doesn't think he has another book in him? I mean, there's that.
I mean, there's that. I mean, I do think if he somehow becomes next senator, he'll be immediately talked about for being president. He'll get like Obama fast tracked. Pivotal state, interesting guy. Da, da, da. He'll be the talk of the town if he wins.
Yeah, ick.
But I don't think he's going to be.
No, I agree.
I just think.
Yeah.
I think the real MAGA people can tell him, and they're always going to go with like the most MAGA person.
Okay, we got to move on. We have some things I want to clean up before we say ta-ta for the week. The condominium collapse has turned from rescue to recovery. How sad. Just how devastating.
Yes.
I want to make a quick mention of DeSantis only in the respect that we had this great bipartisan moment between he and Biden when the president came, to put in his presence here. And then DeSantis asked Trump not to do the Sarasota rally, which the former president told him to go, himself.
Right, of course.
There now seems to be what I think is, and keep your eyes on this, folks, sort of a separating between Trump and DeSantis. Now, Trump does not want DeSantis to gain too much power, and right now he's the good boy and he's the talk of the town. So watch this relationship. It's going to give you a clue into whether or not DeSantis thinks that Trump's days are numbered.
Right.
Right.
Well, I totally agree.
Yeah.
But Trump is not pathologically capable of staying loyal to anybody, so he's gonna
at some point
whatever DeSantis does, he was bound to turn on him at some point.
Right, but it'll make a difference whether it's sooner rather than later, or later rather than sooner.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree with that. It just shows you how low things have gotten that DeSantis not, unzipping his fly and peeing on the president is considered like a breakthrough moment. I mean, this is what happens in disasters. I mean, Christie and Obama had a moment after Superstorm Sandy. I mean, this is what happened. Katrina, George W. Bush, despite the horrible performance of his administration, at least had a moment with the Democratic leadership in Louisiana. I mean, the fact that we're sort of amazed that DeSantis and Biden can be in the same room is just shows you how.
But I'm going to give you something better or something more here, and that is DeSantis has an amazing, unique talent to mask the lunatic that he truly is, the right winger he truly is, the fascist. I call him, Ron de Mussolini, that he truly is. He's brilliant at it. And so he played it to the hilt because he can pull some Democratic votes if he looks normal. So there is that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
DeSantis.
think you're down there watching all this coverage. I mean, has he been well received in general, aside from the Biden thing, for how he's handled Surfside?
Well, no, I go by my own guts, which is when I see him do that kind of thing, then I go, well, maybe he's not so bad. That's just human nature. You're always looking for the good in people, not the bad in people. So if they show you a bit of the good, you're like, good point. Okay, yeah, this is good. Great.
Right.
So, that's the. Keep your eyes on that, folks. I want to talk briefly about yeah, you're in good shape, Hallie. This week in Tucker Carlson. You got anything?
You're in great shape. You're in great shape.
You got anything on Tucker?
Well, I guess Tucker is continuing this thing about how he was spied on by the NSA, and he's insisting it's true, and he's saying it's because he was making calls to Moscow to try to line up an interview with Putin, and he wound up on some NSA intercepts, and they're blabbing about his phone calls, and I have no reason to believe the NSA is spying on him. I just wouldn't believe what he says. I mean, he can't really know. I guess the NSA's response was opaque enough that he's pointing to that and saying, see, they really did spy on me. I mean, he'll nurse it. He'll nurse
it. Send him away, please. Somebody, please. Okay, here's some stuff. BB out? Moving
Well, he's finally moving out.
You're happy about that. I know this has been on your radar for a while. I'm amused by that. Meghan McCain
Well,
out
it's
of The
not.
View.
Well, look, I mean, it's weird that he's
That he was holding.
still in the executive.
What was his
mansion
reason
board.
for staying there? Was there a reason?
I don't know. Did he offer one? I
No,
can't
that's
remember.
I never saw it. That's why I'm asking you.
But I don't know. 3 weeks later, the moving trucks are there, and I guess he's evacuating. But
Evacuate.
it's what we thought would happen with Trump, right? We thought he'd just he wouldn't leave. We didn't anticipate there'd be a coup.
Well, yeah. Well, so yeah. Okay, so Meghan McCain is also. We're doing the outs now. She's out of The View. That is, I think, political, worthy of talk only because she's not her father. She's gotten herself into a really weird place where Democrats can't just stand her and Republicans don't like her either. She's getting out what she can get out with maybe a chance to read her image because boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, she went crazy. Crazy.
She's been crazy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And ever since she married this dude, what's his name? Her husband? Right?
Dominic.
I mean, oh my God, he is as right wing as they get, and he's starting to look like a good old boy. Have you seen him lately? I hate to do it, but it's true. Sounds looks like a good old boy.
Well, it's I don't really kind of understand her politics. I don't totally understand her kind of where she fits in the political firmament. Like she was anti-Trump. I mean, Trump was mean to her father, and she's kind of anti-Trump. She's very conservative. Her mom is taking this ambassadorship in the Biden administration. I guess she has kind of, I don't know if I've never really watched her on The View. Is she prickly? Is she sort of like...
Oh, she's just... the term...
Kind of charming? I don't really watch...
She's a bitch. She's just a spoiled brat bitch with no real foundation as to what she has to say. That's why she can't pull it off. That's why she became so difficult. She just goes down into the mud when she wants to make her point. But what's happened with her, it definitely has to do with her marriage. And he's very right-wing. I mean, he's as far out there as you can probably get.
Right.
So I think that, it's... I don't think she's a strong person. I don't think she's got the character her dad had. She would never have survived 2 seconds under the... as a POW.
Well, it's okay. So they got to get a new conservative.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see, what happens there. But what happens with her? I mean, I think she should get a little bit out of politics and just raise her children. Okay, we only have a second or two left, and I just wanted to say this because I know I was going to ask you about what happened in New York City's mayor race and put you on the spot. I'll have to do it when you get back from vacation. On this voting crap because we don't have the time to do it.
Yeah, new mayor on his way in New York. A very interesting race. Former police captain Eric Adams can be interesting.
The takeover of the Democratic Party by moderate black.
Yes, I think that's been the headline since the first returns came in a few weeks
ago.
Yeah. That the lefties in the primary did not bail. The moderates came out on top. And, I think an indication that sort of, defund the police is not a winner, even in a New York City Democratic primary.
Fascinating. Mitch McConnell touted a bill that he voted against that's going to bring millions to his state. So, Mitch, get it together. Gallup, 59.2% of Americans say they're thriving, the most in 13 years. Okay, that's good for Biden. We'll give him that.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to Matt Gaetz?
Well, there is no indictment.
It was July. Right? Didn't they say July? I know that they just extended. They're not putting the guy in jail, his crony, because he's still talking.
The one who was convicted.
Yeah. The judge.
I don't know. Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just kind of sitting there.
It's always unfair weather. Fox to launch a weather channel.
Yeah, very exciting, Halli. I know you've been looking for a conservative approach to tropical storms, and this will be a chance for you to hear about tropical storms without it being blamed on pesky climate change.
I don't know, Matthew. I just don't know. Do you know? I'm just checking my notes here because there are things here. We are out of Afghanistan. We'll pick that up at another time. I want to end on this. Elvis Presley Jewish? Oy vey.
Yeah, well, apparently, right, the mom is of Jewish descent, and it's something that Elvis put on her gravestone, which heretofore had not been publicly displayed. I don't know. He also had a cross on it too, so it's a little ambiguous, but it seems like her grandmother was Jewish, so his great grandmother was Jewish. So he's not, certainly wasn't raised as a Jew, and he wasn't.
You are what you're born.
I guess you are what you're born. I don't know what his mom actually practiced or whatever, but it's we live in an interesting country.
And on that note?
On that note, Halli, be well, stay dry, and I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Halli Casser-Jayne Show, a production of Resec LLC. The Halli Casser-Jayne Show posts new podcasts Wednesdays, 3 p.m. Eastern, and is available at hallicasserjayne.com and on all your favorite apps. Be sure to visit us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and follow me on Twitter at The Halli CJ Show. Until next time, this is Halli Casser-Jayne.